Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brandon from Audio Addiction. Thank you for joining me today. I'm just going to wait for people to kind of hopefully file in, but very excited to check out the new Devil Wears Prada record. I have not listened to it yet, but I did. Shout outs to Solid State because honestly, I wasn't sure when I was going to get this record on vinyl, but I got it. And here it is. I'll show you the variant real quick, in case people want to see what it looks like. Ooh, look at that. That's so clean. Like, look at that. That's so awesome. So, shout outs to Solid State. Yeah, they did a really good job on this, so I got to give them major props because they got them out pretty immediately. So, I think it came out really good. So let me know if you did pick it up. Let me know what variant you got. I know if you're watching this, that's not the reason you came to join this, but otherwise, it's a cool thing. So want to give props to Solid State. But for those who aren't familiar, been a big Devil Wears Prada fan for a long time. I've been a fan since like the Plagues era of Devil Wears Prada, and I've kind of seen them grow over the years. And kind of switching up their sound. I didn't really enjoy the act as much. I went back and listened to it more recently, and I still think it's not as good as I thought it was. However, it's a band that, I always appreciate. I really enjoy what they do. So with every release, I always try to give it a listen. And when this one was coming out, I had listened to a majority of the singles that were out, and I really enjoyed all of them. And so I wanted to give this whole album a listen. So I'm going to listen to it live. I could have listened to I got this record on Thursday night. I could have listened to it on Thursday night, but I wanted to do a review, reaction, things of that nature to these new albums that are coming out. So it's been a real blast. So I'm hoping to continue doing that, but I really am stoked to listen to this because, as I mentioned, I'm a huge Devil Wears Prada fan. I have Roots. I'm trying to think which records I have on vinyl now. I have Roots. I have Dead Throne, 818, Zombie 1 and 2. And I'm trying to think if there's another one that I have other than obviously Color Decay, and I have that one as well. So I'm looking to get Plagues eventually, and then Space EP is the other one I want to get. So I'll have to keep my eyes and ears peeled for those records. But anyway, I wanted to go through this album track by track, as I have typically done with a lot of these live reaction reviews. So excited. Let me know in the chat or in the comments what song you really loved off this record. You can have multiples. It's totally cool. But I want to know what you guys have been really vibing with heavy, so again, very excited. 12 tracks, chef's kiss. We love a good long record, so we're gonna go through each one. Very excited to give it a listen. So the first one is Exhibition. So very excited. That one's gonna be very cool. All right, Ryan, you said Noise is your favorite. All right, we're gonna have to give it a listen. But Exhibition, let's start with this one. Let's go ahead, dive in. Ooh, that's cool. All right.
It's so hard to recognize that these diamonds fail to glow. Take pills to ease my mind as long as I don't feel alone.
Ooh, this one is interesting.
Intent to become incomplete. Step back to hear the song repeat. Watch as I make up obsolete. Step back. Welcome to the way down.
Ooh. I love that chorus. Jeremy's such an underrated vocalist. Oh, I love this one.
Stitch it up and wear it with pride. What's fake?
love the synths on this track. They're really
Welcome to the way down. Keep on selling me your way out. Another offer of a flawless life now. But I think I'll just keep it inside. Stitch it up and wear it with pride.
guitar solo. Alright. Alright, if this isn't coming for like a drop, I'll be surprised.
They enforce that you don't matter. Man's horns dictate their after. But I'll fight, have a chance at this. Fight the chains, fight the end, judge us.
Woo! Ooh, that was tight. I like that. Alright, Mike. The screaming. This one's a fun one. I like this one a lot, actually. This was a good one. This one. All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, this was Exhibition. Really enjoyed this one. I think it was a lot different from what I like kind of imagine the Prada to do now, because I feel like they've always had my ear in mind, like, and I know it's probably not intentional, obviously, because I'm just one person, but I imagine that every album that they do is just so thought out, and I like that they try to do different things. Like, this is a song that I would be like, okay, if this was a Prada song, if this came up in a playlist and I didn't know it was a Devil Wears Prada track, I wouldn't have thought it was a Devil Wears Prada track. But other than the, you know, obviously assuming facts of, you know, Mike doing the screaming as well as Jeremy doing the vocals, the clean vocals, because he's got a unique tonality to his cleans. But I do feel like sonically it's got a completely different sound. I love the way that the kind of synths and like layers going on in the track have a lot more intention behind them, and it almost seems like from Zombie 2 they took a lot of those elements of being a little bit more immersive and they added it into the color Decay, which I'm solely stoked on, because that was something that I thought has always been a big part of their band. And like albums previous to this one, I didn't feel like they used it to the degree that they have been using it in the past. Because when I, you know, obviously being an old Devil Wears Prada fan, I think of the Roots Above and how that just, you can hear the synth. Like, that is clearly a strong element to what they do. And I know that every song isn't going to be like that, but I like when it's incorporated intelligently, and I think that with this song, it very much is so, as well as just the vocals structure too. Like, I like that they had like kind of like a chant, kind of like choral kind of thing going on there. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that, and I hope that more of those elements kind of make their way into the entirety of the record. But this one was really good. Jeremy sounds fantastic. I've always loved his voice. I think he is a super underrated metalcore vocalist. I know he's been around for a long time, but he's always had my heart. I've always been a big Jeremy fan, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But I think over the years he's been able to evolve as a vocalist and you can hear it on this song and a lot of the singles, and I can imagine for the rest of this record where it's just this growth that he has in the way that he sings. And Mike sounded fantastic too. I really loved him in the bridge / breakdown. That was wild. His screams sound so good, and I'm glad that it's gotten to a point where he's been able to work on it a little bit more. I don't know whether that's true or not, but to me at least, I feel like he's put a lot more heart and effort into it. Maybe not, obviously I don't know his intentions, but I do believe that he put a lot more forethought, a little bit more strength. There's just it just feels reinvigorating to me as being a Prada fan now. I'm like, they're really doing it. Ryan says, overall, love the album of the year for me. I listen, they started off strong, so I'm really not surprised by that. I am very curious, how the rest of this year is going to shake out for like metalcore albums, because this one is definitely in contention thus far. I mean, I'm only in one song, and I have listened to Salt, Watchtower, Sacrifice, and I believe I listened to, I think that was it. Those were the only 3 that I listened to, and then obviously Exhibition just now. So I have high hopes for this record. I know a lot of my friends have said this album is great, and I've seen a lot of reviews about how glowing this album is, and so wanted to just do this video to kind of get on here. But all right, Ryan says Jeremy shines more on this record. All about the Jeremy love here, as much as Mike is the boy. Again, soft spot for Jeremy. I love him. I met him at Warped Tour. God, it was I think it was one of my first Warped Tours, and he was such a nice guy, and I've met him on and off throughout the years before the YouTube channel, and he's just been a fantastic dude. So I always love Jeremy. So big ups to Jeremy. Love you, dude. Probably don't know me, but nonetheless, still a cool dude. But anyway, we're gonna move on to track number 2, Salt. Very excited to listen to this one. I have listened to it, but it's been a little bit, so we're gonna get into it. Oh man, right out the gate.
I can never process what I'm feeling in my bones, like a sickness that I can't diagnose. Some days I think I'm afraid of my shadow. I show up to fight in all the wrong battles.
Vocal
And I
layer.
don't think mine will be right till I pour the salt into the wounds. Let the rain wash over you. If everything I said was true, then why am I paralyzed? Watch the grass blow in the wind for the hell of it. And sometimes I get so caught up that I forget
Oh, so good.
that all of our words only mean what's behind them. You can't throw gasoline on the fire and say you tried to put it out. Pour the salt into the wounds. Let the rain wash over you. If everything I said was true, then why am I hiding from the blinding lights? I never had an alibi. If everything I said was true, then why am I still paralyzed?
Oh, this is so. I love this. Oh man. Prada's back, baby.
As the ashes rise, embers up toward the sky, with all the things that I can't find. Pour the salt Hiding through the walls, let the rain wash over you. If everything I said was true, then why am I hiding from the blinding lights? I never had an alibi. If everything I said was true, then why am I still paralyzed? Still paralyzed.
All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, that was Salt. Yeah, this one, the coolest thing about this song, I love the energy immediately starts off super strong. The other cool thing was that I noticed listening to this again was that the kick pattern matches the like sort of synth as well as like the guitar like picking parts, which I thought was really sick. Giuseppe is he was such a great addition to the band. Like, I think that they came up on someone that is so proficient on the drums that he's been such a great addition. Like, even with some of his like more current records, like I felt like the act was a little bit like fell off for me a little bit, but like you think about like Color Decay, you think about Zombie 2, like he's been able to just incorporate really unique like drum patterns and kind of fills and stuff, and I appreciate the dichotomy of in the like choruses they're super like aggressive, energetic, there's a lot of energy behind it, and then when you get into the verses they're a little bit more slower, a little bit more methodical, a little bit more melodic, and I think the characteristic changes of this song really get me, and it almost reminds me a little bit of like Bring Me the Horizon-esque, especially with the sort of like more like synth like choral sort of elements to it again. It does remind me kind of in that Bring Me the Horizon. I know that they both have been bands that have been around for a significantly long amount of time, and so there's bound to be some sort of influential exchange there, but yeah, I really enjoy this one. When the singles drop, I mean, I enjoyed really all of them. Ryan says that Salt was one of his favorites, which listen, if you had picked any of the singles, I think there's probably a pretty good chance they're all good. Like the only single I think that's out that I had not listened to at the time was Broken. That one just came out like a day or two before the album dropped, so I obviously didn't listen to that one. But Salt, Watchtower, Sacrifice, I did listen to all three of those, and I really did enjoy them. They're just, I'm more of a like album context sort of person, so I will listen to the singles, but I don't really kind of measure how the album is going to be, it varies to me. Like the singles could be the best songs off the record, or they could just be kind of middle of the pack, which is totally fine. And in the once in a while situations, there's ones where maybe they're like kind of not my favorites, which is everything's not for everyone sometimes. But I really enjoyed Salt a lot. I think that Jeremy's vocals again super strong. But the only thing that I really enjoyed was I loved the layering on the vocals on this song too. I think that was really awesome, the way that Jeremy and Mike interact with each other. I've always felt like they've been a duo that has been so strong in terms of the screams and cleans department. And I think like a fine wine, they've only gotten better with age. And so in this song, I think more specifically in the verses, like the way that Mike is singing in the cleans, and then, or no, not Mike, sorry, Jeremy is singing in the cleans and Mike is screaming over top of that, just the like layers, and you can kind of hear like the separation of those two things just was really well executed, and I really enjoyed this one a ton. So this one was great. Guys, if you are joining in, I've been asking the live people, and if you are going to be commenting down below, please comment too. Let me know what your favorites are on this record, because I've already listened to 2 so far, and we're waiting to get to Ryan's pick noise. I'm hoping he gave me a good recommendation, so I'm hoping it's legit. But very excited to listen to the rest of this. So drop them down below or in the chat. I guess the chat's over here. I don't know. It's somewhere. So feel free to let me know. But we're gonna move into track number 3, which is Watchtower. So let's give it a listen. The riffs. Little blasty action. Alright. Oh, I forgot how hard this chorus hits. I love this fucking chorus. Oh, I love this chorus so much. I love that real punk beat. Oh my god. Accepting. Just kiss. I'm looking down. Eggs towards the side. Wondering what kind of plan you and I. Flashing through the night. I'm staying up in my tower. Caps in the corners away from you. Man, what a nasty pill Giuseppe. Dumb. Kept in the dark with everything to lose. I'm staying up in my tower. Kept in the corners away from you. Oh. Man, I love oh my god. Oh, I love Watchtower so much. I forgot how much I literally beat the song into the ground because it's so good. Oh, anyway, guys, if you just tuned in, that was track number 3, Watchtower. Clearly, you know I enjoyed this song very much. This one's heat. I love this one so much. Getting back to Ryan's comment, he said he loved the screaming and cleans combination in Salt. Can't agree with you more, Ryan. It's so good. I do think that again, getting back to Salt just for a split second, just again, fine wine. That's what I think of every time I think of Salt. It's just quintessential Devil Wears Prada stuff. So, but anyway, getting back to Watchtower. I love this one. This one, I'd argue, is probably one of my favorite tracks. One of my favorite singles they've done in a hot minute. And so when they launched Watchtower, I was like, oh, chef's kiss, baby. We love it. But oh man, this one's a beefy one. I love the like Giuseppe like punk beat. Then he threw like a blast beat in there for like, you know, a measure. And I was, you know, all about it. And once that chorus hits, oh god, like after that chorus and then kind of I don't know, I guess it's like a bridge almost, or maybe like a post-chorus or something like that. But that bit where where everything opens up, oh man, I think this one at least from my perspective, and I unfortunately missed out on seeing them in PA a couple weeks ago with, ironically enough, this is totally not planned, but I'm wearing a Dying Wish shirt, but in Stray, I would have loved to see Watchtower live. I feel like that one's going to be one song that is just going to be like absolutely I know they're definitely playing it live, obviously, but it's got to be like one of those songs that is just like insane live. So very excited about that. Ryan says Watchtower is a mosh shirt. 100%. If I feel like if you aren't having the level of excitement that I have, if not more so, then you're, I hate to say it, but you might not be a true Prada fan, because I feel like this one is like the quintessential, Prada song. Like, it has the like real punky riffs. It's got some really great synth lines. The vocals are cool, not only from Mike's perspective, but also Jeremy's. It's just a fun, metalcore track, and we love to see it. So this one, I can't talk about this one enough. This one's great. And then just that last breakdown at the end just sends me. That bit just is, I think this song in particular is going to be that song that is just going to, I hope, remains in their set list for a very long time, because it is just such a fun track, and I can imagine Mike just going super ham for this one. His screaming is great, but I think the underrated person on this track is absolutely Giuseppe. I think his drumming is awesome. And the way that he kind of switches up the rhythm a lot in this album, I think is really great too. Just the way that his, like I said earlier, he has a very like punk beat at the beginning, then he does a little blast beats, and then he really like opens it up after with like the choruses, and then getting back into the punk beat again. And it really requires a lot of I want to say training, but it requires a lot of like intelligence on where the energy is going to go with the song. And I want to give him a lot of props, because I feel like in previous reviews that I've done for Prada, and he's been in the band, I feel like I've kind of overlooked the drumming. And I think in this song particularly, and I hope in more songs on the record, that he kind of just goes hard, because he is an awesome drummer. Underrated for sure. But I really enjoy this one. The synth lines are really cool, but it's just like a little above 2.5 minutes, and it's just a banger, just like right from the gate. Like, you open up the song, and whatever you listen to, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, and it just starts, and you're already immersed in it. And I think that that's great, and it just got great energy. So if I had to surmise it into one cohesive thought, that would be it. But really enjoy Watchtower. One of my favorites. I think this one's going to be the one to beat for me for right now. But we still have quite a few tracks left, so very excited. But we're getting into Ryan's favorite, which is Noise. I'm excited. You best believe I'm very excited to just comb through all of it. But we're gonna get through and listen to Noise right now.
What if I missed a sign again? So often too insecure.
I like this beginning.
Thrown off by the noise again, like a vision I would blur.
What a riff! I like this.
When will I know that the time is right for the hour to strike? It's so wrong.
This is throwing me.
Moving closer to a dying
That's cool.
sound.
That's nice.
Take another try walking on air. Got me going till I make the edge. What if I missed a sign again? So I feel too insecure.
This chorus is hot.
Again, like a vision I will blur. We never even know what could have been.
Oh, Jeremy, sending
What if I missed a sign again?
feels very like progressive metalcore.
Drifting from left to right, I'm waiting for a night that never comes.
Ooh, nice.
But
Like the
now I'm
beat.
caught staring at the sun, staring at the sun, waiting for the burn. What if I missed a sign again?
What a chorus.
Thrown off by the noise again, like a vision of a blur. I never even know what could have been, never know what I deserve. What if I missed a sign again, sign again? I can't sleep 'cause the sky is falling, resting.
So cool. Getting goosebumps.
The sky is falling, rest in peace. The noise is calling. I can't sleep 'cause the sky is falling, rest in peace. The noise is. Can I find this a sign again? So often too insecure, thrown off by the noise again, like a vision I would blur. I never even know what could have been, never know what I deserve.
Hitting it with the big chorus.
If I missed a sign again, sign again. I can't sleep 'cause the sky is falling, rest in peace. The noise is calling.
Oh, that was a what? Okay. We're gonna break this down. We're gonna break this down, guys. If you just tuned in, this is track number 4 off of Devil Wears Prada's newest record, Color Decay. This one is titled Noise, as you can tell on the screen. This one was, at first I didn't know where this one was going, but I was pleasantly surprised at where it end up going, because that one was, the beginning kind of threw me for a loop, because I was like, the riff feels very like progressive metalcore-esque. Obviously maybe not to the like degree of like a real, progressive metalcore band, but it did kind of remind me a little bit of like an era, or in terms of the riffs, like it definitely has that sort of progressive feel to it, which I was 100% on board with. And then once it got to the chorus, that was when things completely changed, and it just sounded so like methodically put together. And I love the fact that, again, I mentioned it in a couple different tracks right now, but I love the fact that Mike was at the forefront for the screaming, and then Jeremy was backing it up on the clean vocals on the end. I thought that was so cool. And then it had almost like a like reverby kind of like depth to it that I thought was really cool, with this sort of like screaming aspect of what Mike does. So again, from a like production standpoint, that was super cool. I love like the choral elements of it. Again, I love that they're incorporating it. I was glad I was a little bit on the nose about the choral sort of elements that preceded in this album, because I think it just incorporates everything so well. And I love the fact that they included like a group vocal part at that bridge portion, and then the actual like breakdown and last chorus was just like massive, like layers on layers on layers. It's just like it was great. Like I can't even put it into words, where I was so thrown back, especially at that bridge portion, that I was just like, they're doing stuff that I've always hoped that they've done on previous records, but maybe just haven't had the like, maybe things just didn't line up. But in this album, I feel like everything has been so succinct, and I've loved the way that they've evolved. And I think that this track specifically has they've done a lot of evolving, and you can hear it in the way that excuse me, you can hear it in how the song's arranged and how it's put together, but then also like the productional aspect of it, where like you can hear different things going on if you really kind of like piecemeal everything and listen to each individual piece of the puzzle that ultimately makes like the entire song. And that last chorus, I think, really sent me, because it has that choral element. The screaming from Mike was really fantastic, and then Jeremy kind of keeping the bass line, keeping everybody together, and then the synths and like the guitars and the bass and the drums, they all just, it sounded just like a wall of sound, but also at the same point there's so much depth to each individual piece that just makes it sound just like a large conglomerate of things. So really enjoyed it. Ryan, I appreciate that you thought my reaction was priceless. Listen, for an album that I haven't listened to, this is what you're gonna get. And most times when I'm in my car and I'm trying to like listen to an album that's new, when I was reviewing it, when I used to do reviews, I mean, now I'm doing these, which I think arguably, at least in my opinion, are a little bit better, but this one was awesome. So I like this one. This one was chef's kiss. This one's great. I'm very excited to, if all the songs going further from now are going to be at this kind of level, then I'm going to be stoked. Andy commented, hello Andy, how's it going? Hallucinate is insane. One of my favorite songs of the year, but Noise is still sick too. I would agree. Ryan, good pick. You know, listen, I'm all about it. This one, you did not disappoint. You really. I was a little freaked out. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I was a little bit like, is he just, you know, is he fucking with me? But you got it. It was on the nose. This one was great. So I like this one a lot. I think for right now, listening through to the album thus far, Watchtower is number 1. Number 2 is probably Noise. And we haven't listened to any of the other ones yet. So, but Salt's Grid Exhibition was great too. So I'm really excited. But we're going to listen to Broken. This one is the most current. I can speak English. This is the most current one that was released with a music video, and I have not listened to it yet, so very excited to get into it. So hope you guys enjoy it. Guys, if you're just tuning in, this is track number 5, Broken. Let's give it a listen. This intro is cool. I like this.
I hate when I get left alone. I'm sure that all these calls are getting old. A short drive, just get me home.
Is that Mike
The
singing?
cost is nowhere near to what I owe.
I like this.
From the back of the car, it's sinking in like a shot of fear and adrenaline. I'm a lost cause with nothing left. Can't you say that? My hands are torn
That chorus. Wow.
broken bottles. I can't stand lost too much. I
Wow, that's got some great depth. Oof. Yeah, this one was good. I like this. Guys, if you're just tuning in, this is just track 5. This one is called Broken. You can watch the music video. I'll leave a link below to go check out all the music videos. They were all very well put together. So, Andy said while we were listening to Broken, he said whole album is heavy lyrically. Can definitely notice that. I did notice that there's a lot more of a darker theme to it. I also saw someone post and say this is probably their darkest record in terms of lyrical content. So I can definitely hear that in the songs, and then I think also in a reflection of like the album art too. It's very like grayscale. So I imagine that had something to do with. I know sometimes album art and lyrical content don't always translate the same way, but I felt very lyrically in looking at the album art now, like you can kind of get those sort of ideologies put together. But and also the fact that it's color, the album's called Color Decay too. I think that I feel like that's indicative of the way that a lot of the lyrics are going to be on this album. And you know, obviously this song particularly, you could hear a lot of the more darker elements, which was really nice. And I do like that lyrically they're doing something different as well. I mean, obviously I feel like this had a lot to do with maybe the time that it was written in, just being maybe in a dark place mentally. I think that has a lot to do with this album from more of a fan perspective, but I'm sure I'll have to do a little bit more reading in regards to, you know, the whole grand scheme of things. But really enjoyed this one a lot. I think what was really cool was I've seen Mike play guitar and also sing live, and I think what they have going on here was really well put together. I like that Mike was able to sing, and I know he's, like I said, I know he's done stuff previously where, you know, he's played other instruments, and I know he plays guitar, and I obviously know he sings, but I think this one was a really good indication of how versatile he has become over the years as a vocalist, because his clean singing was actually really good, and it meshed really well with Jeremy's. And I like that they kind of framed this song around both of them. I think that was really well, you know, executed. And the other thing I really enjoyed was the sort of, I love the intro. It starts off like real soft and then kind of obviously breaks out towards the first verse and like even into the chorus, obviously. And there's just a lot more depth going on in this album that, again, I feel like a lot of the previous Prada records, there hasn't been as much depth from the sort of musical aspect. I think lyrically, obviously, they have grown so much too, and I think Mike, as a lyricist along with Jeremy, I think they've been able to come up with some really good parts together. So, love that. But the overall elements of just the way that this song was structured, and I like that it's a little bit of a slower song to kind of break up the entire record. I do like when bands do this sort of palate cleanser of sorts where you get to the middle of the record, you want to listen to a song that's maybe not like is a good song, but maybe isn't like, you know, a Noise or isn't a Watchtower or a Hallucinate, where, you know, it doesn't have to be like this grandiose thing, which is, I mean, I love those songs, don't get me wrong, those are, you know, that's what I think of when I think of Prada, but I also do love this sort of more tender, the little bit more emotionally driven songs, because I think that they have a lot more depth, and as we were talking about earlier with the lyrics, I think that also plays into a lot of the sort of more softer, more melodic, a little bit more ethereal ambient tracks, which I think really breaks up the album, and it doesn't make it seem like it's so I want to say recycled, but it doesn't make it seem like it's all one just like heavy album. I like that a band can go out and do different stuff and kind of grow. And I think with this song particularly, it might not be a standout track to a lot of people, but I do appreciate it for what it does in the album. I do think there's a lot of cool elements in it, this more specifically the synths, and I think the fact that, I know that Jeremy and Mike, scream and sing collectively together, but it was nice to hear them in a different sort of format where Mike's kind of doing almost like a yell sort of a thing that he's known for, but also incorporating his clean singing into it. So I thought that was really well put together. And then just also the fact that the instrumentals were really fantastic on this track too. So enjoyed this one. I like this. Okay, so Ryan says, wait till you hear Trapped, 25, Cancer. Those songs will hurt to hear. I've heard some shit, so I feel like I'm ready to be hurt, and if anything, I'll be hurt on the live stream, so, but this one was good. I like that. I probably have to go back and watch the music video because I haven't watched it yet, but it looked really neat. So, and I also saw Mike's like with his guitar, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get a fucking like sad boy song here, and I'm about it. So, Andy says, yeah, Cancer is a gut wrencher. Oh, are we gonna cry on stream? We don't know. I can't confirm or deny it, but it might happen. But we're gonna move into track number 6, which is halfway through the record, which is wild to me. Thank you guys for joining me, hanging out, and shout outs to Ryan and Andy for hanging out in the live stream. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. But the next track is track number 6, which is Sacrifice. I have listened to this one. Is one of the singles that was released. I believe Watchtower was first, and then I think Sacrifice was next, and then Salt. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But Sacrifice, if my memory serves me correct, I also really enjoyed this one as much as I loved Watchtower. So I'm going to get right into it, boys. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. I forgot. This one's heat.
I felt it under my skin. Watch the walls closing. Your words drawn like a blade contaminate my veins. I'm forgiven. You bent the truth so you could play the victim. What's real fate? I swear I'm not paranoid. I let it in as if I had a choice. Just bury me and run. I don't want another fight. Push me off the edge. Just I can be your sacrifice. Yeah! Ropes have hard, they're cycled, all consumed by the numbered symptoms that you create. There's no shelter, my nights are wrong.
Oh, that's
To be out, sick of the misdirection. You cut me down, that's what's real fate. I swear I'm not paranoid. I let it in as if I had a choice. Just bury me and run. I don't want another fight. Push me off the edge. It's I can be your sacrifice.
I love that. That drums. Oh, man. Giuseppe, man. My man.
We let the night go. We let it unwind. You dug in deeper with that same knife. Twist the head.
If I remember correctly, they were just dropped that song.
We let the night go. You let us die. I let it in as if
Oh man. Oh. That ending gets me every time. Oh, I love that. Every time, guys. Every time. Well, anyway, if you're just tuning in, track number 6, this one's Sacrifice. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. But that ending gets me. I love that ending. That is probably... I love the fact that they put, like, a gap in there, and you're like, okay, the song's gonna be over with, and then you see, like, a minute on the clock, and you're like, there's no way they're gonna just, like, let this chill out before the ending's over with. It sends me. I love it. You know, I think it's so cool that... Because I was like... when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, the song's over with. And then I was like, okay, but it hasn't ended yet, so there's got to be something. And then... Kudos to whoever thought up that ideology, like in this song particularly, because that was beautiful. I love it. But this one's great. I think this one was like a good middle of the road kind of like, not that it's like a bad song, because I do really enjoy it, obviously. I do think that this one was kind of a good barometer for how Color Decay has been shaping out thus far. It does have, like, the heavier elements. It does have the more melodic elements. So I think it was a good baseline for what you can expect for Color Decay. Obviously, I imagine both Ryan and Andy, you guys really enjoyed this record. Andy said it was one of his albums of the year this year, so... Or not Andy. Ryan said it was one of his best albums of the year. And then I imagine Andy probably put it pretty close up there in terms of his favorites of this year. But yeah, this one was really good. I would say... I want to say it's probably just outside of my favorites. That chorus is super well put together. The screaming from Mike, man. I got to give them credit because I know he always gets, like, shit for his screaming sometimes and some of his lows, but I'm just telling you, man, he's still got it because there's some, like, layered screams on there that are fucking low, and there's no way that he's still not doing that. Like, he's definitely still doing that. So, I just think this is gonna, like, I think he's just a fantastic vocalist. It's just maybe it's a little bit harder for him to do stuff like that, which is totally fine. But the like low screaming, he's still got that depth, and I appreciate that. I think it's just gonna be, I think that's kind of a little bit bullshit after, like, and Andy said it more eloquently than I could have said it, and he said after like 15 years or something, he's still got it. I think that to me is the most important thing, that they're still doing stuff, they're still making music, they're still doing their thing, and I think anything extra on top of that is just like cherry on top. We love it. So I do think the screaming on this was awesome. I think it's just really well put together. But I think the curveball in this track is that ending. That ending gets me. I'm probably gonna listen to this like when I go to the gym later, and it's still gonna I'm still gonna be like thrown back by it. So I'm very stoked. This one was a black sheep in terms of the singles, but now I can also see it as being a black sheep on this record, where it's just like, it's Devil Wears Prada, but they're just gonna like hit you with something a little bit extra, a little different. So I do like that. And then also to kind of, bring up the energy again. I think this one's a great like starting point to continue the album trend. Andy did say that this is actually one of his albums of the year as well, until Counterparts dethrones it. Listen, I'm just saying, I'm probably going to come on and do a Counterparts review too. So I'm a huge Counterparts fan as well. So we will be doing that 100%. No doubt. That'll be on the gauntlet for that. But yeah, I think this one was just very good. and just outside of my favorites, I think, thus far. We're about halfway through, so I feel like I can say that with some level of confidence. But yeah, this has been great. I will say, Andy, I have not listened to any of the Counterpart singles yet, so I'm very excited to just delve into it and just have my neck broken off by some of the sick stuff. I always go back and listen to, their most current one. I think it's Nothing Left to Love. I want to say, I don't know. I'm been putting on the spot right now, so, but yeah, that one's great. I love Counterparts. Shout outs to Counterparts. Counterparts, great people. But yeah, I am gonna be. I can't wait to be floored. I'm gonna. It's just gonna be wild. That one's gonna be awesome. But really enjoyed this one. This one's a solid one. I kind of put it at like the mid to high tier right now. That's it. So, also thanks for the clarification, Andy. But the next song is track number 7. This one's Trapped. Have not listened to this one. This one's a new one, so we're gonna get into it. New one for me, at least. It's not. Okay, this is cool. Intro.
Waiting just outside your door. Those drops, those tears on the floor. Can we talk it out? Find ways to solve the doubt. It's okay, I was fine to make the drive. There's a story here, no white sides. We can't keep training an empty tank. Don't say sorry, it's not your mistake. Can you look me in the eye? We can try to slow down time. Wait until the pain gets smaller. But I never subsides. Does it feel like a heart attack? Like there's no way out and no way back. I hate that you're being trapped by your issues, but I'm here with you.
This is a gut wrencher.
Does it feel like you lost control? Losing sleep will take its toll. I hate that you're being trapped by your issues, but I'm here with you.
I literally, I don't know if you can see it, but I could have.
I'm here with you.
Wow.
There are times when your sight's blurry and you're hurting. It feels like the world stopped turning. Still trying to make the best of this place. Don't say sorry, it's not your mistake. Does it feel like a heart attack? Like there's no way out and no way back. I hate that you're being trapped by your issues, but I'm here with you. Does it feel like you lost control? Losing sleep will take its toll. I hate that you're being trapped by your issues, but I'm here with you.
And then just with the music on top of it, which is so good. Oh, this is just wild. This is wild. All right, Jeremy. Hit me with the highs. All right.
Does it feel like a heart attack? Like there's no way out and no way back. I hate that you're being trapped by your issues, but I'm here with you.
All right, if you've joined our Cry Fest, this is track number 7 called Trapped off of the color Decay from The Devil Wears Prada. You guys were not lying. I literally have, like, I don't even know if you guys could see it, but I legitimately have goosebumps. Like, this song, wow. What depth. I think that, like I said earlier in a previous song, I think it was in Broken as well. They have just become like lyrical powerhouses. Like over the past couple records, I think they've just done a great job of really digging in deep and finding some really powerful lyrics. And I think with this song and some of the other ones that I'm going to be listening to, like, there's just so much depth lyrically, and then I think it gets pushed that much further because of the music, and the music really kind of sends that lyrical, like, emotion and drive to the song. So they, like, both, like, work together to, like, make the song more emotionally powerful. And I love that, because I think that what they've done in previous works, like, have been great. Like, I think Zombie is kind of like an outlier just because it's, you know, a concept record and they're playing off the original concept of Zombie 1. But all of their previous works that aren't concept records, I think they've done a great job of lyrically growing. But this song particularly, and some of the other ones that both Andy and Ryan have mentioned in the live chat, they are, I imagine, they're going to have, like, that sort of depth to it. I will say, Andy says, with Transit Blues, the act, Color, Decay, I feel like the lyrics get better and better. That was the other one I missed. Thank you, Andy. I do have Transit Blues. That was the other one that I did mention earlier, but I also have that one on vinyl. I think with Transit Blues, I think there's just a lot of lyrical depth in that, and I go back and listen to that one with such, like, I think people initially didn't like it as much, I would argue, but I think it's great. Like, I think that one's a super really underrated record, and I also think that I have to go back and listen to the act again, because I do feel like I may have given it, I may have given it a bad rap, even though I know, like, not everything's for me, and that's totally cool, but I really feel like I need to give that one another listen again. And I think the reasoning is because of this record, because there's just so much over that time span. I think that they have become such a more methodical, a little bit more endearing, a little bit more thoughtful of the way that the lyrics play with the music. And I think this is kind of the culmination of those things, where the lyrics and the musicality just kind of interweave with each other, and I love that. So really cool. Andy said, with Transit Blues being the underdog because that album doesn't get enough love either. Listen, we all about that Transit Blue love, so go check that album out as well. Actually, go check out all of Devil Wears Prada's discography. I feel like they're a band that has aged so well with each album, and I think this one thus far, has been arguably their best work to date. I can say that pretty confidently because I'm only on track number 7, and I think this is definitely album of the year contention for sure, 100%. I think this might be, I would argue this is probably one of their best modern works. Like, I know obviously everybody puts, like, Dead Throne and Roots probably close to top plagues as well. I think those three are like the quintessential. But I think in terms of current albums that they've done, this one encapsulates me so much, and I love it. So getting back to Trapped, from a lyrical perspective, very very deep. I think it's very dark, and I do like that they are kind of branching out into that and talking about things that they just have a lot more depth lyrically and hit a little bit closer to home. And I don't know if whether or not that happened within the Devil Wears Prada camp, or if it happened to someone that was, like, close to them. You can hear that there's just a level of honesty in the way that the lyrics are written and the way that the lyrics are said in the songs. So I love that. I think the musicality of it kind of takes a little bit of a backseat, which is totally fine, because I think when you're I think that it has enough power behind it where the lyrics have just that much more time to shine. But I also don't think it's, like, going so crazy that there's so much shit going on that you can easily get overwhelmed by everything going on. So I like that there's a nice balance to it. I think it keeps everything in check more so than anything else. And, I think the depth lyrically is what, I think what we were coming home or coming here with this track. So I really do like that. I will have to go check out the in-depth analysis, Andy, for the Apple Music. So if you do have Apple Music, which I do not, let me know what you think about it. Andy also says the first album is kind of the only one I don't go back to as much because of the production. Fair enough. I think if you are an OG fan, like even myself, like Dear Love is great, but I don't feel like it's like in my catalog of like what I attribute Prada to be. And I think the three that I mentioned earlier, Plagues, Roots, and Dead Throne, those are the three albums that I feel like for me really kind of encapsulate what I love about Devil Wears Prada, and it's not coming from more of a like nostalgia perspective. I will say nostalgia does have a play in that, but I think musically they all hold up super well, so I do like that. But yeah, if you do have Apple Music, there's more depth than I am going to be able to provide you with. So if you'd like to either let me know or check it out for yourself, you can do that. I don't have it. I don't have Apple Music, so I can't do that. I'm sorry, guys. But we're going to move on to track number 8, which is Time. I have not listened to this one either, so very excited to listen to it. So let's get into it, guys.
There's something I can't share. It's just too hard to explain.
Oh no, I didn't. It was a single.
It happens every day, like a desperate dream that never goes away. I'm barely holding on. I'm lost in the wake.
Oh, that double kick. I'm gonna keep saying it.
Time's moving like lightning. Time shifts like a glacier. It's the opposites that I can't accept. This collision certain death. There's something I can't share. It's just too hard to explain. I'm barely holding on. It happens every day, like a desperate dream that never goes away. I'm barely holding on. I'm lost in the wake.
I like that little. That was great. Every time.
What's to be done about this friction? Putting tablets again. I've been struck by the lightning.
This has a. Every time I listen to this has a very like 80s like trans blues kind of vibe, which I love.
This
It's great.
collision, certain death. There's something I can't share. It's just too hard to explain. I'm barely holding on. It happens every day, like a desperate dream that never goes away. I'm barely holding on. I'm lost in the wake.
All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, that was track number 8, and that one is called Time. This one was really cool. This was one of the singles that I listened to, and it didn't really get me at first. Like, it was one of those ones that I feel like it was like a slow bleed, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I wasn't really on point with it. However, this song I think has grown on me a lot, and listening to it again, I think really made me like this one a lot more. I will say that I believe Jonathan is the one who has done the like production and like the synths and keys for their records. I think he definitely had a heavy hand in this song, because it has that like real like synthy kind of like ethereal ambient sort of feel to it, and as I mentioned in the song earlier, it does remind me kind of a mix between like Space, as well as like their Space EP, as well as like music from like 818 and like Transit Blues, where it's a little bit more like open when they decide to do like a lot more ethereal sort of stuff. I really appreciated that. I like when bands kind of do like, not in an intentional throwback, but it almost has like sounds from previous records, and I like when they kind of incorporate that into newer material. I think in this instance, that's what they have going on here. I do love the chorus. I do agree with Ryan here in the chat. He said Time is a great chorus. And he said it's also catchy. I do think it's great. I do like that Jeremy's kind of hitting that lower to mid range in terms of his vocals. I think that's really cool. And then Mike is obviously hitting those like higher, like screaming kind of, where he does like that sort of like talk, like spoken word, almost like talk yell sort of thing going on. Really enjoy that. Getting back to a former point from Andy, he must be looking at the Apple Music, which appreciate you, Andy. He said that Trapped is basically about one facing their mental health. Totally can see that. I can totally resonate with that first and foremost, and secondly, I can hear that lyrically now that I think about like kind of piecemealing some of the lyrics together. It makes sense that that's what it's about. But yeah, I really enjoyed Time. I thought this one was a great one of the singles that was released. It was a little bit different of a song for this record, I think, looking back on it and kind of going through most of it right now. It does have elements of like some of the slower songs like Broken or possibly Trapped, but it's a little bit different. So I think this one is kind of a little odd man out here, but nonetheless, great track. I probably kind of put that in the sort of mid-range. I don't think it's like particularly bad, and I think there's a lot of like enjoyable factors of the song, but I think overall it's kind of like in the middle of the pack, which is totally cool. The next song is going to be track number 9. This one's 25. If I remember correctly, this one is also just a cry fest, so I'm waiting to just cry on stream, guys. So thanks for hanging out. We're going to take a look at track number 9 off of Color Decay, 25. Let's do it.
In pieces in separate rooms. By then I had lost my voice. It was over, I couldn't cope or offer up any more time. When was the last laugh we had? Like when we were 25. It's over, what I'd hoped for. Couldn't stand being by my side. How could you wanna leave?
Oh,
Put
God.
down just a memory. Been holding
wow. Wow, that one, I can't. That, wow. Anyway, guys, if you're tuning in, this is, this is Cryfest 2022, and the highlight of this festival is this track 25 off of Devil Wears Prada's newest record, Color Decay. Wow, what a song. Man. I didn't need a song to resonate with me so much at this point in my life than this one, and this one definitely hurts. I wow. I can't believe this one was. You can hear, like, I think with what I have always loved about Mike's screaming is the intentionality to how emotional his screams are connected to his actual screaming is. And in a song like this, you can hear his, like, voice breaking. You can hear, like, a lot of things connected to the lyrics, but also musically it kind of just strikes a chord, no pun intended. And you can find that sort of emotional depth to the song that much more. I think with Broken, we kind of got a little bit of a taste of it, same with Trapped. But I feel like with 25, they really were like, okay, this is a sad song, but we're really going to, like, push it. You know, we're going to hit you with those, like, string section. We're going to hit you with, like, a little bit of Jeremy singing. We're going to hit you with those Mike scream, you know, those scream kind of clean, like, grit, you know. And it just plays into that whole aspect of, you know, why this song is so, I think, hits so strong. And I know a lot of people may not resonate with this song, certainly, especially if, you know, you haven't been in you know, a pretty serious relationship, or there a whole host of other reasons. But I think that this one, at least for me personally, and kind of going through it, this one hurt a lot. This was one that I think I resonated the most with on this album thus far. And it just, I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. It's just so strong. And I think this was Mike's best performance on the record. I mean, obviously he has songs that are, like, you know, with a lot more strength in it. And that's, like, what I know and love. But I think that this one pushed the boundaries for me of what Mike does and how intentional his lyricism is, and how it kind of pertains to the way that he screams, or the way that he equates his vocals to the lyrics. And I think that that's really great. I know that Ryan said at the beginning that this album has a lot more of a Jeremy sort of side of things, but I like that the fact that this album kind of has a nice mix of everything. I don't feel like it's always one-sided to one. Obviously, there are songs that have more of a focal point to a certain, you know, vocalist, whether it be Mike or Jeremy respectively, but I think this one definitely takes more of a Mike stance, which is totally cool. And I like that he's been able to kind of show off his depth as a lyricist. Obviously, like, you can go about writing a breakup song however you want, but I think this one was really put together well. And I think it shows off this sort of emotional place you're at when things turn away like that in a relationship. So wow, this one was a powerful one. I know the last track is gonna hit me like a ton of bricks, so I am not prepared for that. I don't have a box of Kleenex, so Ryan, I'm probably gonna cry into my shirt or something. But this one, this one was a good one. I think this is one that I'm like, I have a couple songs that I don't know if I go back and listen to, and this might be on the list of songs that I don't know if I'd go back and listen to, or I would skip over. And it's not because I don't think it's a good song. It's just, I think maybe it's not the song to hear at the moment. But I thought this one was good. Again, kind of middle of the road, but I think, like, lyrically, again, struck a chord, unfortunately. And Wow, what a song. Oh, man, can't even believe it. But we're going to move into track number 10, which is Fire. Excited to listen to this one. We're listen, this is, I can see why this is a lot of people's album of the year or in contention for album of the year, because God, this is phenomenal. We're loving it. So let's get into track number 10, Fire. Cool intro. I like this. Big shout outs to Jonathan again.
All around they're seeking hell tonight, paying tribute in recycled song. Out of mind and out of sight, feel so vindicated. Who is it you're trying to protect? I know the weight pouring down on me. We're in a rotten place tonight, feel so vindicated. I get scared when my eyes close, nobody knows.
Oh, this one's got depth too. Oh my God.
If I throw it to desire,
they really loaded up all of the shit at the end. Oh my God.
you keep calling me a liar, but I see right through you. Too many moments of taking breath below the floodline, lungs filled up with the truth of it. They've got intentions, I've got mine. Who are you trying to protect? I know the weight pouring down on me. We're in a rotten place
The beat's cool.
tonight.
I like this.
Feel so vindicated. The last that you wrote, nobody knows. If I run into the fire, will it burn me? If I throw it to desire, can it hurt me? You keep calling me a liar, but I see right through you. If I run into the fire, will it burn me?
Nice. I like that transition.
If I throw it to desire, can it hurt me?
This has a Jonathan heavy hand on this one for sure. Alright guys, if you're just tuning in, this one was Fire, and it is track number 10 off of the Devil Wears Prada's newest record, Color Decay. I enjoyed this one a lot. I do have one gripe about it that I wish they would have done, because I think it would have definitely put the song up higher on my list of my favorites. I think it would have been great in that last chorus if they just did full band. That would be wild. I think that one, I think that's what would make the song, like, because I enjoyed it up to that point, but I almost like instinctually thought that they were just gonna like hit me with that like full band. Like I think that would have sent this track off, at least for me. I love that this one is, again, kind of the flip side of 25, where this one is very much a Jeremy focused track. I love his vocals. And I love that Mike kind of fills in sort of the background, like screams. He's got a little bit of cleans going on there. Like I like the combination of that. I think it's really cool. Andy said Fire is the care more of the record, if that makes sense. Absolutely. I can see that, certainly. And then also to comment on 25 again, Andy also said, he said it's a breakup song. He said that Mike doesn't want to listen to again. And he said, I can hear that. And I'm like, cry emoji. 100%. I feel like that's, tangenting back into 25 again. I could totally understand him not wanting to. I feel like that was a song you record and just, like, not do. Like, and I imagine people will probably be like, oh, we want you to play it live. But I, like, get it, I feel like when you have something that is so detrimental to a place, a negative place in your life, like, that makes sense. So I have to resonate with Mike on that one, certainly, because I feel like that one, for a performer wise, I feel like that would be very tough to play live. But getting back into this song, Fire, I really like this. This was cool. I like the really kind of ethereal beat going on. It kind of has a little bit of a lo-fi feel to it. I think Jonathan, as I mentioned earlier, had I would argue he had a pretty hefty hand on this song and kind of putting it together, but I do like it. I like that there is just, like, actual instrumentation alongside the sort of electronic elements, as they've always done, but I think this one has a little bit more of a beat centric focus, and then having physical actual instrumentation on it, I think, was really nice as well. But this one was cool. Like I said earlier, the only gripe that I have about Fire, I wished that the chorus would have just been, I wish it would have went full band, because I think that would have just, again, hit a little bit more, and I think I would have just enjoyed it a lot more than I would have enjoyed it now. Not to say that it's a bad song, but I think that I think it would have been it would have made more sense, I think, arguably. But maybe they, creative choices, creative differences. So it's totally fine. But we're going to move into track number 11, which is Hallucinate. This is one of Andy's favorites. So, very excited to listen to this one. So, guys, let's get into Hallucinate. Let's see if it's one of the best. We're going to see. We're going to find out.
What's real? What's fake? Black Temple hallucinate. What's real?
Okay. All right.
What's fake? Black Temple
Called awake by another
What a bass line.
migraine. Countless needles slowly penetrate. What's real? What's fake? Black Temple hallucinate. Impending red away.
Whoa.
I've been forced into the depths of agony.
Oh my God.
Frozen in sadness.
This is so heavy and dark, and I love it.
Can't find the painkiller. Can't numb the ache.
This is so cool. love it.
Years washed away. What's real? What's fake? Black Temple hallucinate.
The glitching. Oh, that's so sick. gonna be a drop, and I'm not gonna be ready for it.
1,000 days, the loop repeats. 1,000 days, gain catastrophes. What's real?
Oh,
What's
I have a feeling.
fake? Black Temple Hallucinate. Black Temple Hallucinate.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's go. Wow. What a track. Guys, if you're tuning in, this is track number 11, Hallucinate. Andy gave us a lovely tidbit here, and he said it's actually an instrumental left off Zombie 2, which checks out because it definitely has a very like dark, ominous sort of feel to it, and I loved the production on this. This was super tight. I love the super like glitched out guitar parts in some portions, and then that breakdown. Oh, it was dirty. We love it. It was great. But Mike screaming, man. Like I know we could hear a little bit of Jeremy, more specifically in like the chorus portion of the song, but God, this is very much a Mike song, which is great because I think his screaming was awesome. Like I love the depth to it, and then some of the ways that like they pitch shifted his voice down to sound like more like of a monster. I thought that was wild. So yeah, this one's definitely in my favorites. Good choice, Andy, certainly. Really enjoyed this one. This one was like stupid heavy, but it wasn't like, I don't know, like it was kind of like almost like an extended breakdown kind of, but they just went like, they went balls to the wall. Like they gave zero fucks and they just went as hard as they could, and I appreciate that because this was awesome. Andy said they can be heavy when they want to be, which I love because they do it so well. Can agree, is being a fan for a long time. Probably very similarly to you, Andy. I love that they can have a song that's like fire and then follow it up with a track like Hallucinate. Like that's so cool to me. And it just shows the kind of depth that they have as a band. For as long as they've been doing it for. I love that they keep innovating. But yeah, this one, I could tell very much so that this was like a zombie like B-side kind of song because it has that sort of feel to it. Like off the bat is very like aggressive, very dark, and I think it also plays super well in the fact that this album is like lyrically dark and lyrically heavy, and then having the kind of song to match that sort of depth and energy I think was really solid. So kudos. This one's chef's kiss. This one's probably one of my favorites, I would argue, thus far. But we're gonna get into the last track. I am not ready. My body is not ready for this. I heard this one is a rough one, so not looking forward to it. But we're here to close it out, collect ourselves, collect our emotions, So we're gonna listen to the last track, guys. Track number 12, Cancer. I am not ready for this. May cry on stream. Can't confirm, but we're gonna listen to it anyway. Let's go. Oh, they hit me with a piano. Oh no, this isn't good. Ooh, okay, they're gonna hit me with like a sad. Are they gonna hit me with a sad banger? Oh no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I love the instruments, though. This is awesome. I'm gonna be so mad if it's an actual good song.
How routine it feels like I fell through the floor, crushed by another passing.
Oh, no.
It's all happened before. Still, I'm not pretending to know every story and every choice. I'm just some voice below the background noise. I hope that it's cancer and not something else. 'Cause I don't need any more things I don't wanna talk about. How could I think such a thing? Who am I to say? Daily devastation that I can't validate. What's wrong with you? They'll ask about me. You're done, you're through. Still, I'm not pretending to know every story and every choice. I hope that it's cancer and not something else. 'Cause I don't need any more things I don't wanna talk about. I don't need an answer. Care about heaven or hell. I hope that it's cancer. So what does that say about myself?
I can't. This is rough. Why you gotta do this to me, Prada? God, I'm really going through it right now. Oh, I literally have had goosebumps for this entire song. Oh my god. If you tell me there's more to this song, I'm gonna be very upset.
I hope that it's cancer and not something else. 'Cause I don't need any more things I don't wanna talk about.
Oh man. God. Wow. Track number 12, guys. This was Cancer. This was off Devil Wears Prada's newest release, Color Decay. Andy had posted in the chat. I think this was from the Apple Music, because I believe Mike had posted some of the lyrical background behind it. He said that John wrote the chorus when a hero passed away. He heard that he had died. John's initial reaction was, I hoped it was like cancer rather than something like suicide or an overdose. Upon the realization, he thought, how could you think of such a thing? Why was that my immediate reaction? Hoping for cancer is the most horrible thing you could hope for, really. But it speaks for the notion of degradation, the idea of color decay. The chorus asks, why doesn't my reaction say about myself? For most of us, it's our favorite song on the album. I think what, first of all, thanks Andy for posting that. I appreciate that. I had nothing. I still have goosebumps, like, thinking about this song, right? And I think, anybody can. I'm even getting a little emotional, to be fair, but people have lost people in their lives due to various amounts of reasons, and I think with this song, like, you can resonate a lot with people in your life that may have disappeared, whether it be, for an actual cause, like, cancer or things of that nature. Or you can think of it as like a loss of friendship or a loss of, people growing apart or something like that. And I think that there's an abrasiveness to this song where you're like, in the chorus, it's like, I hope that it's cancer. And you think about it from the perspective of like, wow, that shit's fucked up. Like, why would you hope that it's cancer, right? And I think that anybody would have that sort of realization. But I think that the fact that the way that it is abrasive, I think that's the reason why this song is so powerful, because there is that level of aggression lyrically behind it where you're like, okay, well, there are some things like about like, suicide or having an overdose or something like that elicits this sort of response. And I think that it's the same sort of response when you say like someone has cancer or things of that nature. And I think that there is just this honesty behind it as much as it is abrasive. I appreciate that they wanted to write a song like this, because I think with previous records, as I've been mentioning a lot throughout this review, is that I feel like there hasn't been. I think that they've grown to a point where their ability to write has gotten so much better, but I think this is like the best stuff that they've written. Not only from a musical standpoint, but I think also from like a lyrical depth standpoint. Like, this is very heavy, it's very dark, but I think it's necessary because sometimes shit isn't always sunshine and rainbows sometimes. And I think it's probably, they couldn't have ended it in a better way. I think, as Ryan said here, a song that hits me directly, or just has songs that have that emotional depth to it, is going to be an album that I want to go back and listen to. It's kind of similarly to how much I love the most current Holding Absence record, Greatest Mistake of My Life. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend. But I kind of felt the same way about that record, where it left me thinking about things. And I think that when you have an album like this that really allows you to look into your life, or, the things that are in your life, then that's a good thing, and I think, unlike most bands out there, I think that this band, I think of Counterparts as another great, obviously their songs are like also very lyrically full as well. I think of albums that hit me really hard, and this is one that you could already tell I was starting to get like welled up. I really felt a lot of emotions about this song, and I can understand why people may or may not like it, but I think that this was a phenomenal way to end just such a powerful record from front to back, but as well as that, just if you are a lyricist and you want depth, it's there for you. Like, I think it's a heavy record. It's a heavy record, but it's also heavy lyrically. So, like, those two things correlate with each other. But if you're just in it for the music, this is a great Devil Wears Prada record. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's one of their best works, arguably. But I'll also say that if you're into the lyrics and you're also into the heavy music, then this is going to be, bar none, the best Prada record you'll listen to. Because it has so much depth to it. And I think that with like previous material, there wasn't as much depth, and there might be like, again, a little bit of nostalgia in there. But this one, hands down, I would argue this is their best modern work by a long shot. They went leaps and bounds above what I expected this band to do. And I love that. I think that what they've got going on and what they're working with is just phenomenal. So, all that being said, please go check out the Devil Wears Prada. Andy said nothing left to love. The title track especially has the same feeling. Oh, big facts. You know, Love Me. That I listened to that at the gym, and that shit's got me crying on the treadmill. But I love this album, guys. If you can, and you're like me, you are much like a vinyl fiend. Pick up the color Decay. Go pick it up. Links below. Please, like, this easily is one of my favorite albums of the year. I would argue right now it's probably the album to beat right now. God, and that's like, I'm very curious if a band's gonna get close to touching this. At least for my opinion, I will agree with Andy. The new Counterparts record isn't out yet, so I feel like from a lyrical depth standpoint, I feel like they're, Prada's crushing it right now, but Counterparts isn't out yet, so I feel like I'm ready to get hurt. I'll get ready to get hurt on stream again. But yeah, wow, this was just an experience. We spent well over, I don't even know how much, almost 2 hours talking about this record, which is awesome. So I want to give a massive shout out to Ryan and Andy for, making this fun. Appreciate you guys. Also, if you're new, thank you for coming to hang out and checking this out. I appreciate it. But I love this band, and I think that this album makes me love them even more than I already loved them. And I think that they just went all out for this record, and I can't recommend this enough. So please go check out the Devil Wears Prada's newest record. If you can pick it up this week, do it. It's well worth it. Bar none, one of the best metalcore records of this year. Would love to know what your favorite tracks are if you haven't already mentioned them in the comments below. I wanted to let everybody know that if you have checked out my channel and you like the interviews, those will actually be going up on a podcasting site, so you guys can listen to them in your car, all that sort of stuff. So I'm planning on making that transition over to doing that. I will say the video portion of the interviews will still be up on YouTube as I normally do, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Those will still be coming out on the regular basis, so don't be alarmed. They will not disappear. I had a few people ask me if I was going to be getting rid of them. I'm not. Still going to be up there. And yeah, let me know what other albums you'd like me to do this live reaction review, things of that discussion, as you will. Been really enjoying doing them. I know I said that in the last video, but it's been fun. I love the chat interaction as well as just listening to a good album. Even if it's something that I've listened to already, this is great. I'm all about it. The ones that I have planned coming up, definitely the new Dayseeker record, 100%. That's definitely going to be listened to. The new Counterparts record, of course, gotta rep the boys. Love those guys. Trying to think who else has an album coming out this year that I feel like I want to listen to, but there's a few others, so keep your eyes peeled. I'll have some new content coming out very soon, but yeah, go check out all the links in the description to find out about the Devil Wears Prada if you haven't already. Fantastic band. Again, phenomenal record. Really highly recommend it. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Planning on doing more of these. I want to do the new Eat Your Heart record out, which they're like a pop punk like alt band from Australia. And then there's another one called, I'm not even going to try to butcher the name. I think it's Reclia. They're also from Australia, and they are awesome too. So yeah, I have a few others that I'm planning on doing. There's probably a few more this year that I'm planning on doing, and then I always wrap up the year with a live album of the year's list, and favorite underground bands that I've been rocking with this year. So keep your eyes peeled. We got some really great content, or I have some really great content. I don't know. I say we all the time. It's just myself. So I have some fun new content coming out before the year's over with. Andy, I do listen to the Wonder Years, and I knew that their album's coming out on Friday, so we may or may not do that on Friday night. I haven't decided yet, but I'll keep the options open. So I like the Wonder Years. I did listen to the last record. I believe it was Twin Cities, if my memory serves me correct. But yeah, if you want me to check that one out and you want me to do my thoughts on it, absolutely, I'll throw it in the mix. But yeah, if you have any other suggestions, let me know, guys. Comments down below. I'd love to try to do some more obscure ones and some more cool ones that are coming out. So thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. Sister cities. I knew it had something to do with cities, just couldn't remember the first word. Clearly I don't know the Wonder Years as well as I know that they are. But yes, I will be checking them out, so you can rest assured something will come up with that. But yeah, guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Really do appreciate all of the love and support, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video. Hopefully I don't have to take it down, because I know YouTube's funny with that sort of stuff. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Love you. I will be seeing you guys very soon. So peace.